All right. You're live. That's what we want to hear. Oh, yes, yes, yes. It's going to get this on the screen. It's going to get this on the screen. Getting closer. One moment. Okay, now we're ready. All set. Sufayan Sharif speaking. And this is an important message. And what's important is the delivery. And as the topic of the live is the true religion of self-knowledge. We're going to be going over the true religion of self-knowledge. So you automatically know, peace and respect to all holy texts. But this is not the Bible. This is not the Bible. If you have read the Bible is not based in self-knowledge. Nor is this the Quran. If you have read both those books, as I have read both those books, then you know self-knowledge is not even mentioned. So when we're talking about holy texts, then you must be coming from another holy text. Yes. This text is more similar to what we would call the Torah. This text actually mentions the Torah, and we're going to bring those demonstrations forth. Before we do that, as you see, the knowledge of the world. The knowledge of the world is the other thing, and the knowledge of the one is self-knowledge, knowledge of self. So you have to be mindful of self, not mindful of the world. So as these things and books allude to, I want to bring you to what we have as the All Sufayan. Now, the All Sufayan, before we get really into it, as you see, we don't have chapters and verses as they are called. We have sufas and surahs. So these are understanding amongst the text that I'm bringing forth. It has not been brought forth by any other to my recognition and to understanding how this came about. There was a great story behind it. It just didn't appear. This came through a lot of time out of the world and knowing specific things when I was brought into this world, what to look for in this world. And so things transpire, for us to get to this place now that we have the true religion of self-knowledge. And yes, I'm happy to bring forth that we have the true religion of self-knowledge, but it's sad to say, yes, it's not the Bible, and yes, it's not the Quran. but this book answers both the Quran and the Bible. And so we don't disgrace, any holy text. All holy text is holy by way of what's in it, and that which is holy is holy. And so when falsehood is mixed with that holiness, then we don't have 100% book of truth. So what I bring forth to you is 101% of truth, with no falsehood in it, or no falsehood need to be decoded. Straight shot, straight path. This is strictly concerning the way of the ancient masters. The ancient masters called the way a certain name. And the way means the way of the wise. The wise way of life. Hence Sufiyon. So as we get to the understanding of what laws give authority to the Sufiyon, and that's what we want to bring in first. We want to bring in the law authority, the law structure, so you can begin to shift your thinking into understanding knowledge. So we have nothing to do with belief, even though belief exists. As you see, the law represents the truth. So we pass belief and the concept of believing. We understand those. We got the t-shirt. What we're more interested in is the knowledge of truth. And so the knowledge of truth is what truth seekers are seeking for. So we're going to begin with what upholds as the form of law that gives me, myself, and the Sufiyon community its authority. Sufa 31, the law. We'll keep it in English for right now. The law represents the rule. So the rule of law is what we'll be covering. The law also means the truth, as it was stated by who we call Isa, who other texts call Jesus, said that would set you free. What we didn't know what that truth was, and if you was like me seeking for that truth that he was pointing to, then we wanted to tune in, because this is a truth that would set all free, not some, not a few, not many, but all who chooses. And again, the law is the law. And so in understanding the importance of this is the 29th name of God, let's say. In this text, we don't use the word God. We use the word that our ancients use. And so we want to be clear into understanding this text predates the Bible, as the KJV and any rendition comes after, predates the Quran. And so the things that we are talking about, we're talking about the great all. The great all are. Now, in Christian terminology, which is a form of religion, and Quran terminology, which they would say both of these books, which is a form of religion, which they're not when you know what religion is. They are theologies authoritated by dogma, by doctrine. Their doctrine doesn't consider what we're going to bring forth, but what you may know is called God's law. And see, these things have no existence. There's, well, Let's bring the law in. The law of God is what? Is it the 10 commandments? Is it the 616 commandments? What is the law of God? Is it the Old Testament, which would be more akin to not the KJV version of the Old Testament, but we're talking about the Torah in actuality of its ancient parlance, its ancient vernacular. It wouldn't be written in the time of what we have now because English wasn't prevalent at the time. You know, English is an 8th century language. So we have to understand things pre-existed, 8th century. And so this text that we have is a 7th century. So before English was a thought, the way was already written, wrote, scribed, scrolled, papyrus, tabletized, and all the whole nine, even on paper by that time. So now when we're talking about what are we going to be going over, we're going over the law, the truth, and the rule of the Sufayim. Let me let you see. Yeah, so as you see, this is the cover. The All Sufayim 610 CE. So before 8th century, they was already coded. And this was written and brought forth by Muhammad, who they falsely call Muhammad, whose proper name is Fatiyah Sufyan Muhid. So we learn that through what we have in our disposition. We have the truth and the law and all the names of God. And we should know if we are lovers of God, knowers of God, seeking for God, walking in the Spirit, after the Spirit, not walking after the flesh, after the flesh, then you should understand that Jesus knew the names of God. It's prevalent. But as we bring forth, why is this law so important for us to understand? This law is so important for us to understand because we haven't been told of this law. We've been told of God's law. See, so we have to be very careful in bringing old past time conditionings into a new understanding. You don't want to bring that small view into something that's larger and greater. So we finna go into something that's greater that you just gonna have to unlearn that which you have learned. Because we're talking about the true religion. All other religions have covered this true religion in hopes that you will grab their religion as the all religion. And as you will find out in their religion that you grab as the Bible and the Quran, there's no mention of a specific form of law. And so we want to bring that specific form of law hinted as God's law. All right. We're going to start at number 4. The law. The law is the source. Let's start right here. The law is the source. Think about your cities. Your cities are governed by laws. And if you break these laws, you get fined, whatever. The concept here is understanding law. Law is beyond concepts, but is what gives life to spirit and matter. So we have to understand spirit and matter is no hocus pocus. It's not some invisible, non-created thing. We wishing to come down from Jerusalem as the new heaven and new earth. But this is the source from where all that is lesser came from. If we see the law is the source. And also the law being the well, W-E-L-L, like water well. Like Abraham's well. The well, the law is the well of all form. Now stay beside me. The law is the well of all form. That means anything with a shape, anything with a form, anything with a dimension or a figure is a form. Anything that you enclosed in is a form. We must understand form comes from somewhere. Just because you don't know, and then they give you the catch term God, and then you say God created all form, then we must understand we're talking about God is law. But you see how they played it with God's law, just like they did with the Spirit of God. They just threw this concept in front or on the word, which is all good. But what we pointed to, it didn't point to self. What is being brought forth now is the true religion of self-knowledge. What does God has to do with self? Okay, now we finna get cooking. What does God have to do with self? And now that we have the correct understanding that what will set you free, the truth that will set you free, or the rule that will set you free. You know how they got the rich and the rulers, they bend rules, or they write rules into perspectives for your area and region or districts. So when we talking about that concept, they're using the concept called God. And instead of telling you what God is, they use it as a concept for rulership and dominion. But the truth is, there is no God. There's only law. So now as we come forth, if God was claimed to be the source, God was claimed to be the creator by Christian texts, then we understand through a text also that was in the name of I saw, that was said will come in his name and bring the comfort, and the comforter will provide all truth. And we find that comforter is law. Now we're going to come to the law is the creator, the law is the source, the law is the well, the law creates all form. Nothing would have a meaning if law wasn't included. Law gives the order or the meaning of life. Life comes from law. Death and life are in law. They are laws of death, and there are laws of life. The soul, well, we'll get into that. We ain't gonna cross to it. Let's stay with the law right now. We must understand the law, and this is what gives every soul their understanding. The less you understand of law, the more you are food for the rulers and the rich. I mean, God ain't feeding off you because he needs you to have self-knowledge. He needs you to know the law so you can defend the creator. But if you don't know law, then you're going to be subjected to the rulers who make law. Fake law. For those who don't have law. Because they don't understand law. But they understand God. Law is what gives anything its meaning. Anything that have rules is governed by law. Let's bring in. Well, no, we right here. We ain't gonna bring. We're gonna keep it strictly on this because that's what all the other Sufa videos are for. We bring in the other text, the Bible, the Quran. We don't do really too much Talmuds and non-Septuagintes but no Bhagavad Gita Indian texts. We have to understand, and that's actually within here. So, and I'll bring all that forth. Let's see. So now we're covering law. I wonder what they got. So there's many things I can go into, but we're gonna keep it to the words. Number 5. Okay. The law. The law is the beginning point. Let's not go any further. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. Let's back that up. Let's retrospect. Let's add law into this. In the beginning, law created heaven and earth. We're talking about in the beginning. And number 5, the beginning point. The beginning point is law. Now check this out. The beginning point. The law is the beginning point from which all lesser, all lesser law manifests. When all law manifests, there's lesser law and there's greater law. As you may have heard the aphorism, law against laws. The plural form of law, laws, is lesser laws. Lesser laws all get their origin from the beginning point. The beginning point is the great law. From the great law, which is the beginning point, is where all lesser law manifests. Manifests connecting to 4 is where you get form, meaning, and rule. Otherwise, it's invisible, right? So we're talking about visibility, evidential, just like the words on the screen. I'm not speaking them to you just out of my mouth. The manifest is here. We have the manifesto of the true religion, of self-knowledge. Now, this is what we need to know, that the great law, or the beginning point of the law. Who was that they call God? Now, 6, we're going to find out who created this law. And this is where you get all form. And this has nothing to do with the lesser law. We're talking about he or she, we're going to find out in the beginning. Because we just want with this time frame. All you can do is bear witness, is it of truth? Because now you have read, hopefully, the Bible and the Quran. And if so, now you will have the greatest understanding that you will ever have in its existence. See, people have been playing around for years, 50 years, half of a century to a century, bringing children in the world to witness not knowing. And it's funny how you can not know and pretend to know. And so all this time, people have been pretending to know God. They don't even have the right starting point called the right book. The book starts off not acknowledging law. So when we are beginning to understand where are we taking our soul, most people are taking their soul to lost land. They have no interest of what self is. They're only interested in the lesser law of the manifest. You are losing your life. You are losing your time. They have already wasted. If you are young, they have already wasted your life. You're going to make sure you waste the rest of it. When you become grown, this is the gift of leaving childhood. That you can't read, you can't pick up the books, you don't have time. But when you become grown, you make time. You make time for whatever is important that you want to manifest. And we're going to understand why is all this so important, because everybody claims to worship God. People claim to worship Jesus, and people are actually not in accordance with these under law, but say under grace. These are blasphemies. And if your soul may not be saying this, but your soul may be acting this stuff out. Ignorance is within the soul. Knowledge is within the spirit. We have to understand, why did the soul have to come down into the manifest, which is the lesser law, to understand self? And now you got these hand-me-down, watered-down, soggy cereal, soda left in ice. All these teachings have been fabricated upon the lie. If a book is not 100% truth, then we got to keep searching until we find 100% truth, till we become 101% certain. And this is why I'm on the manifest now. I've been doing a long list of long words, but I will not come to the manifest until it's 101% truth, because everything else is mixed with truth and falsehood. There's no use of bringing people into something strangely mixed. So I figured that out early on this journey. That you want to teach when you start learning new things. And I did that. But I also understood that I did not know enough to begin teaching. And so I stopped. And I began to go deeper into research. And deeper into research of seeking truth. And this truth had to be on the manifest, right? We're talking about the manifest. We're talking about if the truth exists in the form of a book, that it should exist in the manifest. And we've been searching. The Bible is a library of books. That is not one book from one time period. That is a library of books that would take you, that took me years not to read. We talking to understand. Read it didn't take long. Understanding is what took the longest, because you have to manifest your understanding. And you'll see as we go along, because we're trying to get back to the beginning. We told God was the beginning, and God is only a concept of a beginning, not the true actuality of the law. As you see, the word God don't even contain the word law. So we got to understand every name is a manifest of something real. And so this is where we come to now. They want to say that the man, the number of man is 666. Well, let's go to number 6. Let's go to number 6. Now, this ain't my words. This is before me being born. I had to grow my understanding, and I had to go through certain practices without taking oaths, being led strictly by the Spirit. Let me get into my story so you can understand. With my story begins with me being, let's say, shaken, or the awakening of God, or being God initiated. God initiated me on a certain day by having a certain event happen in my life that I would never forget, that would change my way of thinking, because I know I don't supposed to have that happen. So only the Spirit can make this happen. And only this is because of why this is on the manifest now. So this is no pity party. This is only for you to understand testimony of why and how I came to this. Because this is the story of truth and bearing witness to the Creator himself. When people have thoughts to hurt you, to injure you, to violate law on their own means and not through the means of the Creator, when you have your, let's just say how they say, your near death God experience, this is how you become God initiated. Now, self can't even initiate itself, because I couldn't even initiate myself in such a way. Only the Spirit can initiate these things. And so, in the near-death God experience, my life was taken. From the outside of the world, the people in the world wanted to take my life. But the Spirit in me said it's not my time. So this is the reason why we have to understand. And I don't want to get too imagery, because imagery conditions the brain. So just give you the terminologies that you will understand of why someone came to this long golf search. So I will give the date in 2010. I was initiated by God by a near-death experience. Any much longer, I would have crossed over to death. But prior to that, what saved my life is what people call God. I don't call it God, but people called it God. And in that time, I knew of God, but I didn't know of God. So in that time period, when someone wanted to injure me and take my life to near death, let's say God did not want that to happen. So instead of the Milky Way imagery of something flying out of the sky or something out of the invisible come into the visible and just take your soul and place it somewhere else for your safety, that you thought that was going to happen. And in the time when I needed it to happen, it didn't happen. But something did happen. And what happened was what we call the word God. The word God means something that has saving power. So this time, this night, I needed saving power. And to find out saving power was within. God that we call God, that is somewhere out there, I found in 2010 that night that he's inside. Why? Because God saved my life. God saved me from the enemy. The enemy wanted to end my life, but God didn't have that as his appointed time. And so God, from within, no imagery, pure voice, hearing words as thoughts, came forth from I don't know where. I wouldn't even know this was in me until it happened. And it told me, instructed me, it gave me instructions literally what to do to save my life. Now, I didn't know it was going to save my life. I just followed the instructions. And after the instructions, I found myself saved. And it spoke to me from within and told me everything to do. And so I did it. And in my, let's see, because it's so, in my resurrection, I told God for saving my life that I will find out who God is. I will find out what that is that's in me that saved my life that people call God. And so that was my duty. That was my duty then. And now, all the years have passed till we come to 2024. And the duty is done. Of finding out what is that. Not only for myself, but for those who also had those experiences, and also for those who want to know what God is, who God is, without going through such an injurious moment. Because I couldn't walk after these moments. I could not talk. I could not do one push-up. I had no energy. I never felt energy to be this low in my life, where you can't walk, you can't talk, you can barely breathe. So when we talking about on your deathbed, but still being alive through the instructions, this is the gift that was given. And so that being said, that's my story of what leads to this point. To this point of bringing this text that is 100% truth. And it has never been discovered in my time frame, not by the Quran, not by the Bible, not by the Nation of Islam, not by the Moorish Science Temple of America. All these was contributors. All these forces was contributors to this understanding. And so after reading the Bible, because this is how it happened, the only place you would go to find God, and it's funny when you look back at it, that the only place that you could go to find God is the Bible. So the word God is in the Bible, but is nowhere in reality. So it forces you to go to a book to get what's in the book about God. And so that's where you find out that, man, there's a lot going on in here. And man, there's some truth and falsehood strangely mixed. Because the divine creator I know is not an evil creator, because the evil was attacking me for my own life. And the good, the divine creator stopped it, seized and deceased all evil. So no point of the divine creator is evil. The divine creator can stop evil at the initiated self. But it cannot do it if no self is in the soul. So this is why you need self-knowledge, because self-knowledge is God's knowledge. So when the lesser law was manifesting on me, this is where I begin to understand the beginning point. Like I said, this spoke to me. I got to bring this out just for, it's the only text I know is this, just so clearly. And I read this at completion of what God is. So I had, so I come across Noble Drew Ali. And this Noble Drew Ali has been around in my environment since I was born. But no one ever told me that he had literature. So all the people that came before him is the literature I had and I read. But soon as I got my hand on his literature, the Bible became very, very clear. Because I had an experience, and I'm looking for the experience to match the text. And nowhere in the Bible can you find that complete harmony. There's always some negative and positive. And so these things is not understanding of what we call. So those are experiences and allegories and models of morals to get you to understand something. But it's not telling you what it is. And in a sense, you have to know a thing to know. So if you don't know what self is, you don't know what's really in the Bible. And so all this takes years. And I mean, when I say years, I mean, I stopped. When I say I was searching for God, I stopped making money. I put everything down because I had money and I almost lost my life. God's knowledge is what I didn't have, and that saved my life. So I had a choice to either disobey and go back to my regular life and act as if that did not happen. Or I can acknowledge that, recognize that, and now I'm gonna have to do something that I never done before. And this is where it happens. So all this searching and all this reading, after the Bible, after the Quran, I was unsatisfied. With the circle 7, I became satisfied. But I wasn't completely satisfied. But I had a better cognition of what was said. But from Noble Drew Ali's work, he actually have like this literature, the Moorish literature. And in those two, in the Moorish literature, he tells you that you need to go seek for what Muhammad had. And we would think that's the Quran, but it's not. And in my heart, that's what it was saying, that it's not. But I had no proof. And so now you have what they say Allah. So in mine, I was very familiar with Allah before I was as God. And that was from the teachers that came after Noble Drew Ali. Not knowing they got it from Noble Drew Ali, and I needed to know where Noble Drew Ali were getting it from. And so these intentions led to an understanding because of a saving power that was within me. I'm living today to bring forth this testimony. And I didn't just do it just after the first year. I started like 10 years, and then it was so strong that I had to start coming forth. And that's when you might see some 7-year-old or 10-year-old videos. But then after that, I stopped again because of the heart was telling me. And so now, when I stopped that, I went back on the search. And then and I had this for since June the 14th, 2023. And so I've been studying it after receiving it, verifying it, collaborating it with the Bible, the books, the Circle 7, and getting this whole validity. And now, with this finding, it answers all of those books. One of the most questions that is not answered is, what is the law of Torah? Where is the Torah? And see, that's very important. And then we need to know, what is the Spirit of God? Because that comes out of Torah. What is the Spirit of God? And then what is the name of God? All these things are key. If you're seeking for truth, God being truth. So now I'm going to bring in why the saving power is within. Because as I told you, through my near-death experience, the Creator, no imagery needed, no anything needed, but just like the creation of Genesis began, God said, boom. That's all I know. God said. The Creator, and when I said that, I had to go find God. So now, to find out that which was speaking inside that we will call God is called wisdom. This is what I had to find out. That through those tough times, what saved my life that I was calling God was wisdom. So I want to bring in a verifying, validating testimony. Now I'm gonna highlight it because this one don't have the number. So what's highlighted is what I'm gonna be reading. Here, Hear, hear now, Oh, everything that is. Oh, everything that was. Oh, everything that is evermore will be. For wisdom speaks. There we go. The creator that was speaking inside of me that saved my life is wisdom. This wisdom lives in all of us. We didn't know it was wisdom. We call it something. We don't give it. We don't even know what it is. We call it something. And so this is what I would have been in the same shoe if I didn't go and acknowledge that something. I knew it was more than something because it saved my life. It got saving power, whatever it is. And so to find out wisdom speaks from out the highest plane. That was the gift that was given from this book. That it was wisdom that was speaking from within that was calling God. And then you have out of the spirit plane. Let me pull this up right quick. Because these are things that had me wondering. So when I came across in my reading, when I came across the book of John, and it had in 4:24, God is a spirit, then that threw me in another loop. It was like, what is spirit now? What is this spirit? So wisdom is the spirit called God or spirit of God. For wisdom speaks from out of the highest plane of spirit life. So spirit life was very key into understanding the spirit for me. Because not only was I told that God is a spirit, I was also told wisdom speaks out of the highest plane of spirit life. And then when I read this, but man himself is not the body nor the soul. That was something else. Like, whoa, I definitely know that's true because I was almost dead. And then me as a soul didn't have no clue. But something inside of it saved my life. And that's when I could understand he is a spirit. So now I'm more like spirit. He's a spirit. I'm a spirit. That what saved me is a spirit. That which what harmed me was a soul and a body. That which what saved me was a spirit. So as these readings are coming on for self-knowledge, I didn't know I was gaining self-knowledge. That self-knowledge is the spirit life. And so understanding why is wisdom and spirit so synonymous? And why do they have something to do with God, the creator? And now let's bring it back to the Sufayim. Let's reread this again. Number 5, the beginning point from which all lesser law manifests. Let me make sure we still on and popping. Yes, we still on and popping. The beginning point, the law, which is the truth. The truth is the beginning point from which all lesser law manifests. Number 6, all are is the one true and only divine creator. And to start making sense. Now, in the book, I was referencing of the Circle 7. Let's see here. Let's see, they don't have it on this one. But on the book that I have, it has holy instructions and it has divine instruction. And so, like right above chapter 1, I have the physical copy in my hand, but what I have digitally on the copy does not say instructions. But right here above chapter 1, it says the divine instructions. So I'm getting closer and closer to the understanding of God as a spirit, and the spirit is wisdom, and wisdom is within. All this is talking about God, that's talking about spirit, that's talking about wisdom. All this is self, the greater self that is in the soul that we have no clue about because of the world distracting us. We know it exists because we say something told me to do it. Something told me to go that way. Something told me not to buy that. And that's called all are. All meaning it has all within it. Your answers, all of it. It don't matter what it is, it has all of it. And all, but it speaks. It's divine wisdom speaking within. It's all Bible phraseology. It is the spirit of man. And in the circle 7, it is the spirit man that is within your soul. That is all are. This is where you get the word Holy Spirit. 7, holy breath. So now we finna get what is the Holy Spirit, what is the holy breath. All are. All is the true and only divine creator, create of the Torah. This is what we're talking about. The Torah is only the divine creator created all souls. The Torah, the Torah, the two souls, female soul. So now we got all one singular separate. Now we have all of ourselves recollected, like the story of Osiris and Isis. Now check this out. 7, the first law. So now we know the first truth, the first law, the first rule is divine law. That's nowhere in the Bible. There's nowhere in the Quran. And by the divine instructions in the 7. This is spirit man. Spirit man is divine. The divine spirit. And so to produce the creator, divine creator, has the first law. And divine law, and so the law of all. So divine law is the law of God. It's the law of all. And so this is what we have not been told. They have covered us up with these new rulers and the rich. God did not make the Bible. God did not make the Quran. That is man-made. Anything that is not 101% truth, creator. If it's 50-50, it's not. The creator is only divine law. Nothing else can be even acquainted. Positive law, sovereign, ecclesiastical law, all of this is come from all divine spirit is divine law. We haven't even been told that. We've been told God for one, and then God's law. But God don't exist. So God to exist would mean that there's a false God that's never mentioning divine law. And if your book don't mention divine law or divine anything and how you have relation to that divine, then that's a false God. And you are serving idols and using idolatry. And if it's coming from books, bibliolatry. You worshiping things made by souls, not by the spirit, the divine creator. Number 8, all is the divine creator of all things. Is the divine creator. I know this personally because I had the experience. And the experience, I went to find the text to validate. So I really appreciate having the experience, and therefore I know what truth. Grab the charger so this don't die on us. So now, with certainty, I bring it to you. 8, again, all is the divine creator Ra of all things. All things. And I don't like repeating myself. All things come from Allah. When we say all, this is talking about the total collection. The collection. All words, all ideas, and all forms. There is nothing greater than all. So, and there is a God. It should include all, because nothing is greater than all. Nah, that should make perfect sense. Everything we see in existence, me, you, we, or them, did not create it. By all, the divine creator, not the divine, but the divine creator who created the Torah. So there's nothing greater than all. All meaning the Holy Spirit. In Christian terminology, the Holy Ghost. So all has been hidden from us. And we've been given a false name like God or of God. Because talking about form, a phone, a dog, a cat, a husband. We're not the unmanifested divine spirit when we say a. When you trying to get someone's attention, you see we say saying the name, we have to say all. He's all, not And I'm saying that because I was saved by it. When us was trying to take my life, all had and showed me that everything be right okay. Now I had to go through a large healing process. Physical therapy, psychotherapy, all done by the Spirit. No, none of that done by and people in the world. I come to you as one who has been touched by the divine creator himself. Resurrected by the divine creator himself. Searched out the divine creator himself and come to bring you what the divine creator wants for you to know. So this is why we must be understood why we have been given all the false names and the false God. So did Jesus exist? Does this book, does this text, this holy text talk about Jesus? Yes. It exists. Not what y'all have made Jesus into, which is a deity. Jesus did not exist as a deity. There's only one deity. Anything that has a form had to come from the first law, which is divine law, which is the greater law. Anything in manifest is considered a lesser law. So check this, number 10. Thus, all law, not the city law, not your Congress, not any other government law. They should be making their own. No, all law must come from the divine. Did we say that? All law must come from. I mean, no harm, no injury, everything equal. From the divine and all. So a law is not from the divine. All. Listen, 11. As all the words, you say the word of God, right? It's the word of law. As all the words of law. The words of law are born, are born, are born from the Creator. the law of the. This is why in the circle 7 in chapter 3, they tell you that you have two, number 5, two cells. That's two souls. You have a higher soul, which the Sufyan calls the greater. And you have the lower soul, which the circle 7 calls the lower self. So, getting through the thicket of the darkness. So you have the law and not just words to know. Every word we use is born from the Creator. All the words we use are connected to spirit called law. Law. So what goes around comes around. Then they tell you the law is dead. This is a blasphemy. The New Testament tells you the law is those who are under the law, under grace. And those under grace is not under the law. Until you learn how to seek truth, until you learn how to search the knowledge of truth, you're going to be in a dilemma. Always twofold, duality, double-mindedness, binary minds. Until we understand the law and the rule. Where does this come from? Renamed as God. You know, we taking that. So 12, a law. Now we specifically raising and defining the law. A law, not what government say. We're talking about divine. A law is a rule. A law is a rule given divine instruction. A law is the ruler. The law is the ruler, not souls and bodies. Divine law or a law is a rule given from divine instruction. What I told you was at the top of the page of chapter 1, divine instructions. Well, for those who have the copy of the Circle 7 knows that the divine instructions is on top. So that Drew Ali was pointing to inside of the Circle 7 as divine law as the religion to, and that he who come after Jesus will come in Jesus' name and bring the truth, which is divine law. But if we ain't reading and we ain't seeking God, we wouldn't know. We just stuck on his son. See, we don't know all. Jesus is the son of all. And this is why we have the teachings of the divine law. Whoever came after Jesus will bring us the teachings of divine law. It's divine instructions. You cannot. So we're talking about a law is given from divine instructions. So if a law that is not from divine instructions and is given to you, is it law? No. That's force, threat. Also, we ain't done yet. A law is a rule given from divine discovery. Oh, they want to tell you they discovered America. It's a divine law of discovery. Just like I discovered the divine creator was within me, not no book. And will never be in a book. It will be in. And that's called divine discovery. I discover it. A law is also given from a divine reason of nature. A divine reason of nature. A divine reason of nature. These is how law comes in effect. It's not city councils, it's not board members, it's not mayors, governors, and state. These are falsities. These are imposters. As we will come to find out from the truth, these are jinns running you, ruling you, as these texts hinted to. Texts called the Bible and the Quran not coming from instructions. They coming from man's urges, the soul urges. So now that you have a better understanding of what law is, now you will not be judged falsely. Because our people now are just judging, and not having no reason of divine law behind their judgment. Blaspheming the Holy Spirit. They cannot be requited. You can't appeal for that. You can't appeal to the court of all for blaspheming the Holy Spirit, the divine creator. This is something true and indeed. Now check this out. This is why you don't look in no God in no book telling you what was said in books like the Bible and the Quran. 13. The existence of such laws are self-evident. The existence of such laws that are related to the divine are self-evident. You don't need a book. You don't need a middleman. As in the name of Jesus the Christ, these laws are in self. They are self-evident, meaning you gotta come alive, you gotta live it, you gotta acknowledge it, you gotta stop ignoring it. It's on self, not on God. See, that's a big misconception. That it's on God. No. It's self has to bear witness by the existence of the wisdom, because you know you didn't make this, that framed this. But you want to lie, cheat, steal, and be untruthful. It's because in you is not truth. Truth is not in self. Falsehood is in self. And that is what self is bearing witness to, that self is a liar instead of self a truther. Instead, self is a liar. Now, 14, divine law. Divine law is the law that defines the spirit. Not man. Man ain't the one who defines the spirit. Divine law is the law that defines the spirit. Divine law defines the purpose. Divine law on the circle 7 defines the divine instructions. All are through existence. Through existence. Not through a book. Through you. You the one existing. Through self-existence. This is the divine that rulers, that the rich and the rulers didn't want us to know. Now we know. Now you can ignore it if you. All right. Key. This is the knowledge. Here is the golden rule. The key of all divine law. Law being truth. Truth being the rule. The key to all divine law is the golden rule. Give me one moment. That all are equal under the law. That all are equal under the law. That all are equal under the law. And so when all are equal under the law, what law are we talking about that all are equal? Of all. The law of all. This is where all are equal. Not under the law of God. We know that for a fact that everyone is not treated equally under the law of God. And the rich. But we're talking about self. The self that's not in the, who has a disposition only in knowledge. As it would tell us, much silence and good disposition, you won't find two works better than these. So all are equal. Ain't no eyes, ain't no big eyes, ain't no little U's. All are equal under the law of all law. And all are subject to the law of all. Subject to it. So no one is not under the divine law. That's why they wanted to recreate something called democracy, something called Republican. These things are not based in equality. Those equality-based systems of law. All systems are systems of law. So you have to understand you are a solar system that has already, don't matter what goes on in the world that this world is held from and by. If let's say if the divine law stopped them right this moment, everything would be a time for us to even have to say that. That takes existence. This is why the divine worked through existence. If you are existent, you are divine. We talking about the divine creator. So all Sufayam is upheld by the law of divine law. Divine law is the all Sufyan authority. And as a Sufayan myself, I am under divine law and subject to divine law. Now, what comes inclusive with divine law is seven. Natural law is the law that defines the operation of all. The will, the will, the will of all. Through existence. Through existence. In the form of the world. So this is why things have shape and things have figure and things have curves and straights because of the natural law. That is the operation of the will of our divine creator. Through existence, what we see, trees, animals, dirt, to minerals, to angels. Natural and divine law. Of law of a Sufayam is divine law and natural law. As you see it right here. No other book mentions divine law and natural law. Not even your Bhagavad Gita's, which you won't get because they misrepresent them as well as Hinduism. That's not Hinduism. That is the whole science before it came to the CE. When we're talking about BC, this was the time Abraham existed. We're talking about the right Abraham religion. The things that Abraham was not a Jew. Abraham was not a Christian. These things did Abraham live. So how could he be something that came after? You will have to hear of a new word because this new word would be an old word that predates saying a Muslim and saying a Christian or even a yogi or a lama. And I'm doing is what I call Brahmiyana Sufi honor. This is the way of Abraham, known as the way of the Sufiyim, the way of the wise, the way of the divine creator. Now, we got natural law on records. Now let's show you what man cannot do and what a competent man can do. 18, therefore, competent man recognizes divine law because he has been told. The priest told us so. Man recognizes divine law not simply because he has been told, but that he can see and reason. He can see and reason to some of the logic in the mind of the divine creator. So we're talking about natural forms you can see. You can see natural law. But now reason, this is something you can't see. You don't know the reason why the divine creator is doing it. See, but if we have something called logic, not emotion, logic, so you can see and reason, not the body, to the not the form of the divine creator, trees, winds, and all. We're talking about the mind of the divine creator, the mind of the divine. This is what self has to get to, the mind. 20, yet a law made by men or Congress can never be greater than a natural law or divine law. This is what the Sufi. You would be a fool to reject, and it would show what you are as you reject. Because those who love knowledge can't hate knowledge. Those who love truth can't hate truth. It's impossibility. So just like making a law that's greater than natural law and made by the divine creator, which you are not, then a law made by men is just a speck of dust, a flea on a fly. It gets better. Nor can laws made by men ever be greater. Ever be greater. That gains legitimacy to the extent it does not contradict divine law and does not contradict natural law and possesses the consent of the people. So even men can't make a law greater, even if it does not contradict divine law, even if it does not contradict, it possesses the consent of the people. It's still no law than natural law and divine law. And all this is self-evident. 22. And unjust, and we call resurrection redemption. When you have put on the redemptive process of soul returning back to divine spirit, divine self, divine creator. And this is what we must understand. There's a force that don't want you to know, but you see it for yourself, not through the mouth and how I look and what this is. No, you getting the knowledge of truth. I showed you the book. I showed you the time that is older. And that is not the Bible and is not the Quran. And that the closest thing to the Torah, that this is the Torah. Then we're going to close it off on that. We're going to close it off on that. Because we can go on and on and on and on. Because the lies have been carried on. But once you understand the law, the lie stops at the law. So again, anything unjust by man, men, institutions, spirits, or corporations, they can never be considered law. Anything on paper can never be considered law. Such threat and force is used. Violating, now they violating law. This is how ignorant lawbreakers are. They are sinners. And they are in sinfulness instead of godliness, lawfulness. All valid law can be reasoned and argued logically. There's no need for war. There's no need for bombs. All law can be reasoned and argued logically. Logically. The mind, logic. 4:24, yet unjust and contradictory laws cannot. You cannot reason with them. This is why these old laws that has no consistency with divine law and natural law has to go. They already gone in my mind and for my body. But for all of us, so the entire earth, to heal the planet, to heal our women, our sisters, they must know that all were rights. No man honor the creator. No woman can honor the creator without equality. A 25, a faithful man therefore has the moral duty to protect and challenge unjust law. And that's what we're doing. We're protecting just law. We had some classes and lessons. If you've been, you can go to the videos or go to the lives and you will find that, and go to the playlist and go to the meetings. And you will find all you need and more with some laughter. 26, an honorable man before all has the solemn duty to defend against injustice and to stamp out tyrants wherever they may be. So all these are control purposes, bitcoins to money laundering. All this is forms of justice. Man was never appropriated divine law for him to ever be. He's been undelivered, unpart ways of the Romans and their Romanism. And so no Roman law has a power or effect over any self, period. As you see, the self was created by the divine creator, and the divine creator is within self. As Jesus said, the kingdom of heaven is within you. The knowledge of heaven, the knowledge of the law is within you. And that there is nothing greater. As you see, the ancient Egyptian word, Kemetic word, Heka. Heka. And so now you know what that word truly means. The law, divine law. Replay. So we're going to, you see that coming on the screen, jumping off. We're going to go on and put that down right now. And let you go on and see that. Remember, there's a prophet in the Old Testament called Jeremiah. Now, it's a reason why, if you read the book of Jeremiah, why Jeremiah is getting the people of that time for breaking the laws and the nations, following their covenants and not following your own, which was directly given to you by. Now, over time, created out wars and wars and wars to almost these literatures was none coverable. Now, to the people, because the people had violated divine law, and they was no longer under the law of the divine. Their gods for lesser, they have divine creator for lesser gods. And these lesser gods is the same gods that's passed down in 2024 now. This is taking us back to only divine create Torah. We got all the answers. We speak of all the great prophets, and Jeremiah was one of them. Now, what's so important that we bring to forth that we think, due to the Bible, that Moses brought us the Torah, and that's a error of the scholar from the scribe of Babylon. The scribe of Babylon made they babble into words, into a false scripture called the Bible. And within that, they took words that didn't belong to Moses and put them in Moses' mouth. So Moses, who brought the 5 books of the Old Testament known as the Torah, the one who was the friend of truth, that delivered the symbols of our self-law and master. Those symbols is the symbols of the Messiah kings. The Messiah kings, the Messiahs, and the Sufayans are one and the same. These who returned to the holy priests of the sacred island, the holy priests of the Sufayans. Jeremiah 11 is the message who brought forth the Torah. And the Torah was, is, and evermore to be the law of all. Prophet Jeremiah, just as Jesus was a great prophet, Jeremiah and not Moses brought the Torah, the divine Torah as the law of all. See, this is what we've been wrote out of. We had no understanding that the Torah was the law of all law. So after R is the one the Torah, and not Moses. Because the scribes from Babylon intended for this to happen. And you see the Torah spelled as T-A-R-A. They said that the God of Egypt was Ra. Hope you coming. The Ra was the Torah. Torah. Was the law of all. So when we're talking about if you don't have the truth, you have been led to the slaughterhouse. And basically, because we can go on and on. And what I would do is just do the lives in the way, instead of each subject matter at a time. And so we are about the true religion of self-knowledge. So the Torah is the true religion of self-knowledge as the law of all are. Now, check this out. Now, this is what you didn't know. 23, upon the time of Jeremiah, in Jeremiah's time, guess what? The great uniting of the sea peoples under the law, a new covenant. See, this was tried. This is why they denounced it now, why we don't even hear of it. We call it democracy or something. Upon the time of Jeremiah, the great uniting of the sea peoples. And the great uniting of the sea peoples. The flower people. The sea peoples. Under the law of Torah as a new covenant. This is what happened. The Yahudah refused. Who is the Yahudah today? The Jews. Do the Jews talk about the Torah? No. The Jews refused to unite with all. Instead, they fought against the law of Torah. The law of all. This is why you don't hear the Jews and the Christians use the name of our divine creator. They fought against the Hebrew tribes, not the Israelites. That's a Judaic concoction. The Hebrew is not Israelites. There are messiahs of the star company. And there was tribes that lived in natural and divine law. But see, these people was against that. See, today, are your laws based on the stars? Or are they based on the government? Institutions didn't hold the laws as they in the past as they do now. In the past, the laws was natural law and divine law. Sun, moon, and the stars, and everything that came down from the heavens. The heavens being the stars, the moon. We didn't call it Aries through Pisces. We called it Fataha. Muid, Zahir, Batin. These are the names we had for our 12 houses. We didn't call them houses. We called them sufas. This was our law, and now since all this has happened, we are forgetting the law of forms, natural law, cosmic law, the law of the stars. You are made from the light of the stars and the soil of the earth, soul, body. So when we are speaking on how called the Yahuda refuse, just like of Jews, not messiahs, not Sufians, Muslims, and Christians. These are the names they go by. Jews, Muslims, and Christians. Now, this existed so long ago that Atlantis was still around. When we're talking about the time of the Torah, Atlantis was still around. This is how old this is. That this was before Atlantis. They knew the people who came from Atlantis. They was called the Romans. Then 25. Then upon the go watch the movie Atlantis. You'll hear the word Xerxes in there. Or if you don't know history, go look up history Xerxes. And you'll find out what you need to find out of a Persian. You heard of these words? These people existed in a time. Times. This is why wars existed that we read about that happened in the past. These was religious wars. They did not want the true religion to be revealed. They wanted the false religion to be revealed, called the Bible and the Quran that we have now. It's up to date. They won half of the battle. But they couldn't kill the truth. It was already written. All they could do is burn, destroy. So now this is the might upon Xerxes. The men of Atlantis, the men of Atlantis did rename their city. We said Ruma. As a curse against the Hebrew. Not the Israelites, the 12 stars natural law. Against the Hebrew, the law of Torah, which is the law of all, and the one true divine creator. And the Jews consolidated their debt together and created this refusal of what we have today. They created their own called Democracy Republican. This has nothing to do with the creator, the divine creator, and the divine law of the stars in the heaven. It has nothing to do. They are dying to put that. I'm gonna read it right here. Where 26, where there be divine wisdom, the men of Atlantis, you call Rome, they knew them in the past as Atlanteans. The men of Atlantis swore. Then the scripture tell you don't swear, let your yea be yea and your nay be yea. Don't swear on the creator. They swore against the divine that Rome will put it out. The Atlanteans will put it out. They said they wherever knowledge and wisdom is, the Romans swore against heaven, the natural stars, to destroy all culture, all knowledge and wisdom of all the people. They wouldn't care who you are. So all this self-hate from Romanism. All this not knowledge of self come from Romanism. All this serving lesser spirits, lesser demons, and lesser gods come from Romanism. These are the people who swear to against heaven, against the stars, natural law, and against the of all law to destroy. And so this is why you don't hear them use the word all are, because they know what time it is. The people of Atlantis, also known as Rome, even had the nerve to name their city Satan. And so down their negativity, because that's what they wanted to create, was hatred. They wanted you to pick up their hate so you will start hating like them. And that will take you further away from the divine, which is love. Love is spirit, y'all. Love is not cardinal. Love is divine law. Love is the divine creator. God is not love, but the divine creator is love. It exists inside of each self. But self, due to false religion, let's make sure it tells us about false religions. We don't have to make anything up. The founders of the false religion, that's your Old Testament of Mithra. The founders of the false religion of Judaism, that's the Jews, in worshiping the Roman emperor. That's the Jews and the Atlantis, or the Romans, called the Holy Bible. The Jews, remember I brought out Jews is one who sacrificed Jesus. And the Jews sacrificed Jesus to Rome, the governor of Roman governor. So they was working in cahoots in 33 CE. They've been working together, creating what we have today called the Holy Bible. It wasn't refined. Now it's super refined. We got the whole book. That the God of that book is Lucifer. And the Jews worship Lucifer. Understand laws here. We talking about a law system called religion, and get people to believe in it and worship in it and have faith in it. So they didn't just create one false religion. This is all before the Holy Bible is well constructed. This is called the Mithra. That's older than you. That's where they do human sacrifices, where you get the Trinity. A sacred city for the second religion of Persia and Medes. So this is what we have now as the Bible and the Quran. The Bible represents the Romans, and the Quran represents the Persian. So these two work together across the lands as the G7. G7, hence G7. So I just wanted to show you that false religion. And the false religion holds the false God, a false God, a false God who never existed. False texts and false scriptures that defile and dishonor the wisdom of all, the divine spirit, the divine creator, defiles and dishonors. That's what all these books have been doing. These false texts, these false prophets, these false gods who never existed. Only by way of the pen it existed. So now I'm about to get ready to close off, and we'll be able to, but we're going to close off with, you said this is the religion of self-knowledge. Yeah, we had to go through the law first, and then we're going to bring the religion of self-knowledge. You see the word Sufayon. Suf-I. So if you ever heard of the word mispronounced as Sufi, that's not the word. It's Sufi. Sufayon. So now these are the Persians that filed the teachers. They call the great teachers Islam is not called Islam, and the great people who hold the knowledge of the true Islam is not called. So the proper name of a Sufi is Sufayon. The proper name of Islam is not Islam. It's Islam. Now, let's go. Islam. Matter of fact, let me do it twice. So you know right here, 45. Verily, every child is born with a disposition towards goodness and the natural law and the natural religion, Islam, not Islam. You can say it, but that's not the proper way. Who defiled it? Because it's dealing with you as I. So there's no I if I did not exist. And the existence is called Salam. Salam. So as you see, this is the religion, Sufayan, that they call Islam, which is Islam, and is based on nature, which is the sun, moon, and the stars. And now you finna see that it's based in 45:54. That you see is based in. Islam, Sufayan, is first a devotion to self-knowledge. This true religion called Sufayan, Islam, Sufayan, is the religion of knowledge, devotion, 24/7, self-knowledge and self-restraint. The religion and self-restraint to honor God through knowledge and self-restraint. Good works is life. Now, no one ever been told that. See? 52. If any preacher or any scholar, because these are two people have worsened our brain by conditioning the brain with falsities and false texts and ideas. If they tell you that Islam is first an oath to all, and secondly, to devote yourself to books. Expel them immediately. Imposter against the truth. As an imposter against the truth. To devote yourself to holy books, that is against the truth. The truth of Absalom, which is a devotion to self-knowledge, not God's in books or names in books, but in self-knowledge. And what is 57 Absalom, if not the purity of speech and charity? So in love, that was peace and charity with the purity. Now, why we have religion of self-knowledge, devotion to self-knowledge, Absalom, mispronounced as Islam, and the God of Islam mispronounced as Allah, is saying that your God is a lie. So if you want to balance and you want to be honorable and you want to live a good and holy life, if you respect the knowledge and beauty, you can always hit the Cash App KOSendowments, ENDOWMENTS, endowments, on Cash App KOSendowments. You can visit the website KOScommunity.com. Your channels, get anything that we have to offer is really based upon love and balance. So the prize, don't let the prize confuse you. The prize is love and balance. But so they don't walk out the we put a price on it so the evil don't walk out with your candy. But it's based on love. It's based on balance. If someone loves you enough to bring you the truth, you should be able to love them and return something of value. Return something that you know you need. I turned down money after having money and went for searching the truth. And now I have the truth. I don't even as the same as I had, because now we understand what money truly is. Is it best? But we'll say that for another line, specifically about money. This was directly to all institutions and all laws who do not support self-knowledge and would rather have people without self-knowledge so they can have complete manipulation over souls. We have to understand the soul is a spirit, and all spirits shall return home. And I believe they are abiding shall return to the. This is the law of two souls, formerly known as the law of Torah. We have the law of Torah, law of all, named by him his second name, which is the Sufyan, the Sufyan, the second name, number 3 of the divine creator, who is the one, the Almighty, the one you've been wishing to know, the one you've been wanting to learn about, the one you've been wanting, But remember, as guidance, who reject ignorance and evil, who seek the well-being of their community, who honor, who honor, who honor those gifts bestowed to self, who seek, who seek, who seek to learn, who seek to practice, who seek to bear witness to what is revealed through the way. These are the selves who may be certain of the truth that they can never die. Never D-I-E as a Sufyan. Why? Because the Sufyan is a gift of 144 Sufa, each describing the spirit of wisdom, an aspect of the divine creator and self-existence. Peace and love to all Sufayans. That's enough. Oh, that was 2 hours. Oh, yeah. Go ahead. Peace and love, divine. Peace and spirit. Love and Wadu.